Welcome back to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige Imprint, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, it's March. We made it. And it has been the longest year, but also it has gone by so fast. It is wild to me. Today's episode, we're going to be recapping my February reading and some February book releases, and then chatting about March and what is to come in the world of romantasy in the next month. Guys, a little peek behind the curtain, if you will. I have been recording all of these podcasts weeks and weeks in advance. However, this episode is being recorded the week before it goes live. Most of these episodes I've been filming, and y'all didn't even know that a book club was going to exist, that a podcast was even going to be coming out. And so I wanted to take a moment and say thank you for your love and support and excitement. I am so excited to get to be doing this. And I just wanted to say, if you're listening on release day, welcome to the Page by Page Book Club. So without further ado, let's dive into February. February was a pretty chill month for me. It was actually on the slower side, one of my slower reading months ever. And my month of reading rounded out at 10 books, which, hey, look, that's still a lot of books. I hear that. I get that. But for me, I'm used to, on the low end, hitting 12 books, on the high end, 18 to 20. And this month was slower for me. I think I have been having a hard time getting off my dang phone. Yeah, I've been doom scrolling and it has been taking away from my reading time. On top of that, content creation, having this podcast definitely ate into some of my reading time. So goals for March, I need y'all to hold me accountable as the book club people that I'm going to read. I'm actually going to take time out of my day and read, because what's the point of having a book club podcast, of being a bookish content creator, if I am not reading? Cool. Okay. Let's talk about February though. I want to talk about 2 books that I read in January that released in early February first. Cool? Can I do that? The people pleaser asks on her very own podcast. I want to talk about Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Yeah, I do. I read Deep End at the very end of January, and Deep End was a 5-star read for me. Yeah, I know that book is highly debated in the bookish space right now. Some people say it was too spicy. Some people say it wasn't spicy enough. Like, you just can't win. And to me, this book hit it out of the park. In fact, I finished it on audio and wanted to read it again immediately. If you're unfamiliar, Deep End by Ali Hazelwood is a college sports romance following a swimmer and a diver, and they are mutual acquaintances because our MMC is dating one of our FMC's teammates. However, they've been dating for a very long time, since they were teenagers, and are no longer compatible, specifically in the bedroom, okay? And so they break up, and her teammate's like, you know what? You guys have the same interests. In that capacity, y'all should get together then. And so they do. All in all, I thought the story was really fun, really engaging. Listened to like 60% of it in one sitting. I really have no notes on it. I know it is very polarizing, but for me, I loved it. If you disagree, that's okay. We can have different opinions and still be friends. I wanted to touch on that because the discourse about Deep End on a wider scale has happened since I read this book. And I did want to take a moment to say I really loved it. Speaking of books I love that released this month, First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I continue to say this online, but First Time Caller gives the same vibes as a romance movie. And I understand that that's like what a romance book is, but I mean like the feeling you get when you watch an elite 90s rom-com, when you are watching these characters fall in love. It was full of depth. It was full of self-exploration and really beautifully depicted what it looks like to not settle, to accept being alone as a choice instead of settling for less than what you want in a relationship. Really love that. Also, bring back grand gestures. Bring back grand gestures, because First Time Caller brought back the grand gesture and I was blushing. Guys, I haven't read a grand gesture in a while. And for that matter, a grand gesture that wasn't making up for heinous behavior. Okay? How about just a grand gesture because you just want your girl? Anyone ever thought of that? BK Borison did. If you don't know, this is a Sleepless in Seattle inspired romance book where our FMC's daughter calls into the local Baltimore romance hotline radio show and is trying to help her mom find love. Well, her mom catches her and ends up on the phone with this radio show host, and she is so raw and so real, and the city of Baltimore falls in love with her. And so Heartstrings, the radio show, invites her to come on and co-host the show for a while she's looking for love and kind of help her find love. Well, Aiden Valentine is the radio show host, and he falls for her and she falls for him. The forced proximity and adoration that they slowly felt towards each other, it felt so real to me. It was another 5-star read. So those were 2 books I read in January that released in February that were absolutely phenomenal. If you have not picked them up yet, you should. Next, I'm going to continue on with releases. And I want to say I have not read Scythe and Sparrow yet by Brynne Weaver. I hope I'm saying that right. And if I'm not, I'm so sorry. Why is there a C in there? Why would they put a C in there if you're not supposed to say the C? I've not had a chance to listen to this one yet. I do want to prioritize doing it on audio because I've listened to the rest of the series on audio. The audios are absolutely phenomenal. Samantha Brentmore, the Page in Print, Female Narrator of the Year. We know I adore her. And I have not had a chance to do that yet because I have had the opportunity to listen to a lot of advanced listener copies this month so far. So I will be getting on it. But that did release on the same day as First Time Caller, February 11th. So, have you read that one yet? Holler in the comments. Let me know. Now, continuing on with new releases. On Lover's Lane by Samantha Young. Oh, let me pick my jaw up off the floor. Let me just go collect my jaw from the basement. Samantha Young, come to the front. One book has added both a top MMC and a top FMC of all time to the roster. I don't think that's ever been done before. Samantha Young has created something really, really special with this book. It is the first book in a second generation series following the children of the couples from the On Dublin Street series. The feeling of returning home to a series after missing just you know how it feels when you read a series. Like, series just have these feels to them, and returning to it, I have chills right now thinking about it. And On Lover's Lane was a delight, an absolute delight. Here's what it's about. Beth Carmichael is the daughter of Braden and Jacqueline Carmichael, 2 very, very successful individuals. Her mom is an author. Her dad is a real estate investor. And she is living in an apartment building, and she's running a social media management business, and she is living her life. And her goal in life is to experience a love as great as her parents. And the beauty of this is we got to watch her parents fall in love on Dublin Street. And so we're watching her not settle for anything less than what her parents had. So she's walking up her stairs in her apartment building. There are these 3 very attractive men hauling a couch up the staircase, a la Friends, pivot, pivot. She's kind of laughing until she makes eye contact with one of them. And that one of them is, dare we say, her first love. The one boy in school that really caught her attention. And they get a little snippy with each other. And we're kind of wondering why. And that would be because Beth and Callan Keene had a little romance going in high school. And for an unknown reason to Callan, Beth called it off. Now they live in the same building, and Beth is making friends with every single girl that Callan is leaving the building with. She gets their phone numbers, they're going to get coffee. She's being a complete and utter delight. And Callan is so frustrated because Beth broke his heart in school. And so eventually Beth is needing to fake that Callan is her boyfriend to get a client's son, a potential client's son, from trying to go out with her. And so Callan agrees, and they end up kind of having an element of forced proximity with this fake dating. And their chemistry is undeniable. It really is. It just spirals from there. And Callan, mind you, is a professional footballer, soccer player. They're in Scotland. And he is opposite sides of the track type thing. And he is one of my favorite MMCs of all time. There's just something so real about him. The main thing I loved about his character was he had to make an effort to separate himself from the people who raised him and who he was outside of that and grow himself up. And the results that had on him as a person and his willingness to be loved and his fear of being left. And I'm going to say it. He cries in that book. I'm going to mention this in an episode that you're going to hear maybe next week. And I don't know what it is because he's extremely, extremely strong, kind of alpha, manly character. To see a character like that care so deeply that they are brought to tears, I don't see it often, and I eat it up. Microtrope alert. I love when a man cries. Somebody check on her. She needs to sit on a couch and talk with a professional. Is emotional intelligence too much to ask for? I don't think so. So anyway, On Lover's Lane was absolutely, completely and utterly phenomenal. Can you tell this month was just really, really good? Following On Lover's Lane, I read a book called The Fate Philosophy by Sarah A. Bailey. The Page and Print 2024 Author of the Year, Queen of My Heart. This book, guys. This is her second book ever and ultimately caught me up on her backlog. And this book at its core is about what it looks like to be loved when you feel like you're too much. We are often told to make ourselves smaller so that other people can take up more space. Make yourself smaller so that other people can be comfortable. Make yourself smaller so that we can fit more people into this space. Don't be yourself because it's too much. It's too loud. You're too this, you're too that. In an effort to appease everyone and to just feel loved, you lose every sense of yourself and you let go of the things that make you special and the things that make you you. And this book, to me, is about what it looks like to take up space unapologetically. And if someone else doesn't fit in the space because you're taking up space, they need to leave. It is about an acceptance that you will not make yourself smaller to make someone else more comfortable. And that there is someone out there that doesn't want you to make yourself smaller. They want the fullest, biggest, most extravagant version of you. And they will love every single piece of that. And that's what the book's about. Sarah just writes very lyrically and beautifully and really has a skill of putting emotions into words. And I'm not talking about like, oh, happiness into words. I'm talking about the human experience on paper in a story. I think that's what Sarah does so well. And to wrap up her backlog by finishing The Fate Philosophy was just really, really special. If you have ever felt like you are too much, this is the book for you. If you have someone in your life that maybe might feel like they're too much, this is a book that you can read to make an effort to empathize with them. Okay? That got a little serious there. We move on. I'm doing ebooks right now, just so you know. We'll do audio in just a moment. But next up, I read Here and Now by Corinne Michaels. Corinne, this was your best work yet. I was blown away by this. This was a romantic suspense about a single mom and a school principal, and she is on the run. She has a hidden identity, and you'll find out why, but it's really, really fun wondering what she's running from. Fun might not be the best word, but it's engaging. And our MMC is a school principal, and he is literally just enamored by her from the beginning, and it was so refreshing to watch. A man just have feelings for a girl and be like, no, I'm going to be loud about that. And I'm not pushy, not aggressive, but he just let her know that he thought she was really special. Crazy concept. In the year of our Lord Taylor Swift 2025, a man just being interested in a girl and like saying it out loud. Crazy. But it happened in this book. A man written by a woman did it. Shocking. So, she's in town. She's working at the local coffee shop. Well, our MMC hates coffee, but he comes in every single day just to see her. And he continues to call their chance encounters dates. He's like, well, we're on our like 5th date. And she's like, I haven't agreed to a date with you. And he's like, we've been on dates. Like, this is a date. It's so cute. She's a single mom. Her son is just really, really adorable and sweet. The suspense plot is phenomenal, and you know I am a suspense girly. And to top all of this off, his friend group had me crying laughing. I listened to this on audio, and the audio performances were so good. This is performed in duet. I had to pull over my car because I was laughing so hard I couldn't focus on driving. They're on an ultimate frisbee team and I could not keep it together. And then I dove into Picture Us by Molly Goins. Molly, if you're listening, I love you. This is essentially just a crazy long voice note. I sent Molly the longest voice notes. Picture Us is just friends to lovers perfection. Chef's kiss. Baseball romance. Let's switch up the sports here with a baseball romance. And it's just full of some really, really fun tropes. Molly, no pun intended, knocked out of the park. So our FMC is the sister of our MMC's teammate, and they are both traded to the Boston Blues, and they move, and they all move into the same apartment building, and she and him are neighbors, and they both have mutual feelings for each other, and it's friends to lovers, but it's forbidden because she gets a job as the team photographer and can't work with him, like can't date him while they work together. It's a strict rule. Well, you know where that's going. If you want the perfect easing into spring romance, this is it. I don't know how to explain it other than the feeling of the world coming back to life. It is just refreshing breath of fresh air, no third act breakup, low angst. It feels like a sip of crispy cold water. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's refreshing. That's the word. I could have just said that instead of describing it by drinking water. Another incredible release. The last ebook release that I am reading is my current read right now as of this podcast filming, and that is Seven of Hearts by Maggie Yates. It is a standalone from Maggie. So I know y'all hear me talk about her all the time, and for good reason. She writes really incredible stories, and Seven of Hearts is a standalone from her. So if you want to dive in, this is a good place to do it. It is a best friend's brother accidental pregnancy romance. I will be sure to add this on to my conversation in next month's wrap up. Cool. Let's dive into my audiobooks. I started the month by wrapping up my audiobook of Spiral, the second book after Collide by Bal Cabra. Guys, this is another one that kind of embodies that feeling of being too much, but with an added element of being the person that takes care of literally everybody and continually, time after time, picking yourself up and pushing forward despite your circumstance. Our FMC is one of the strongest FMCs I have ever read, but she is not a black cat and she is not harsh or sharp around the edges. She is a ballerina. She is a really funny, bubbly personality, and I loved everything about her. This is also a hockey romance, Fake Dating. She is the niece of the pro hockey team's general manager. And the general manager happens to hate our hockey playing MMC and is kind of threatening his career because he has yet to score a goal his rookie season. And they're coming up on the playoffs. Fake dating turned roommates. There's a huge, fun, shocking twist about his character. And I don't want to say what it is because I was so happy that I went in blind. But there's an element of this, if you would be so kind as to read this book, that will have your jaw on the floor about his character. It was really, really well woven. What I loved about this series in particular from Bal is that the first book was set in college and this book was set in the pros for it's all hockey. And I loved watching their friend group kind of bridge that gap between college and the real world. It is a time of life that I feel like isn't explored super often. And I really, really, really loved this. So there's that. Feel Little, another Molly Goins read on audio, her debut novel released on audio. It's the first in a series. It is a neighbor's boss's daughter romance because he is a police officer and her dad's the police chief. There's a bit of suspense element to this one. Small town, found family, and a really, really strong group of sisters. The series follows 3 sisters, and it is really, really, really fun. So if you have not read Aster Creek by Molly Goins, what are you doing? and they're coming out on audio. So if you have been putting it off, just listen to them because the audio is fantastic. That just about covers my month of reading. Let's dive into March releases, shall we? I had the incredible opportunity to listen to Wildside by Elsie Silver in advance of its release. This episode is coming out a day after Wildside's release, and I've been putting off talking about a few things because I don't want to spoil anything. To me, these aren't spoilers, but I am going to talk about Reese's profession, which it has been a mystery up until this point. So if you want to go into the book completely blind, just go ahead and skip forward 2 minutes. I have other books to talk about, but hurry on if you don't want to hear it. Reese is a wrestler. Reese is not only inspired by WWE wrestler Roman Reigns. Reese, I think they call it a WPW wrestler, like he's a pro wrestler, and I'm obsessed. My husband grew up watching wrestling, and I have made an effort to learn more about it because it's something that was important to him. Pro tip in a relationship, take a little bit of interest into what your partner's interested in. And I have really had such a great time, but this is a pro wrestler romance, and do not let that put you off from reading it. Reese Dupree is a top Elsie MMC for sure, potentially just a point blank top MMC for me. He was phenomenal. The storyline was so great. You do not need to know anything about wrestling to enjoy this. However, it was so fun as a fringe wrestling fan to read this book. It is maybe one of Elsie's more deep stories. It covers some really interesting and universal topics like grief, like misunderstanding, loneliness, and I just felt it was beautifully done. So Wildside by Elsie Silver, releasing on March 4th. Don't miss it. It's out now by the time this podcast is released. Now let's talk about 4 more books that are coming your way this month. Let's talk about Merit by Devoney Perry. As y'all know, Devoney is one of my all-time favorite authors. I've read like 26 of her books, and this is going to be the final installment of her Treasure State Wildcat series. So one really interesting thing about this series that I don't think I have ever read is that the series takes place on the exact same timeline in every single book. So you're seeing the exact same time period from different perspectives in 4 different books. It's really cool. Like, really cool. It is mainly a football romance. One of them has a volleyball player, but Merit, the 4th installment of this book, is coming out on the 11th. You get to know the main characters a bit in the 3rd book, Rally, in a way you didn't in the other books. So it is an interconnected standalone. It is a football romance, but I would recommend trying to read the other books in the series first if you can, just because like the way this series is laid out is neat, and getting to watch the same timelines is really cool. So Merit on the 11th. We Can't Be Friends by Hannah Hamrick is coming out on March 11th, and guys, I am so excited for this story. This is Hannah's 2nd book release. I just found her on TikTok, and I had the opportunity to ARC read her debut, Summertime Friends, and that book. I'm going to have to try to get her onto the podcast and talk about that book because it was so interesting. And plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. Like, man, that book, it's one of the more unique books I've ever read. But this is the 2nd installment in that series. My understanding is it can be read as a standalone. And do yourself a favor and just go follow Hannah on social media, specifically on Bookstagram. She has done a great job at marketing this book. It is a roommate's fake dating. I'm pretty sure he's like inspired by a young Heath Ledger, if I'm understanding correctly. He has a secret thigh tattoo. Take that microtrip to the next level with the thigh tattoo. She has marketed this book and created such a beautiful vibe for it. My best way to possibly recommend this is to send you to her social media. In the cover, guys, I know this is an audio podcast, but it is beautiful. Like, your eyes are missing out by not seeing it. If you're driving your car, pull over and pull it up. We Can't Be Friends, Hannah Hamrick. Beautiful Exile by Catherine Cowles. Catherine Cowles, my top read author of all time, is releasing the 4th installment of her Sparrow Falls series. And this one I can just feel it's going to be good because it's Billionaire. It is the mysterious little sister character that we've seen for the whole series but don't know very much about. He falls first. She's an artist. She has guard dogs. Something happened in her past. We don't know what it is yet. I am so excited for this. Catherine continues to write and set the bar for the romantic suspense genre. And so really any opportunity to read her work is a gift. I am thinking about potentially doing a Catherine episode the week of that release. So hold tight. Maybe drop in the comments if that's something you would be interested in. And last but not least, on the 20th as well is going to be My Silver Lining by Lara Pavlov. If you want good, homey, almost nostalgic feeling small town romance, like there's just something you feel when you're reading a true, good, classic small town romance. And Lara Pavlov and Natasha Madison have it down to a science, in my opinion. And so I'm really, really excited to read another one of her books. But what I love that Lara has been doing lately is she has been really stepping outside of the standard cadence of a romance book and the standard usual 3 acts. Like, I mean, it is, I don't want to say she's like straying that far, but the way she is creating her conflict is really unique, really well done, unexpected, but also not stressful. Like, I'm not stressed when I'm reading her books, trying to get through the 3rd act. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it feels like I'm reading something new and fresh, but also not stressful. I don't know how else to put it. So Lara's doing that really, really well lately. And that is going to wrap up my February recap and March release radar. What books are you most excited about releasing in March? What was your favorite book in February? Please reach out to me, message me, comment, let me know. I love talking with you guys. This community is such a joy to get to be a part of. Like, I can't even begin to express it. So holler with your thoughts. Okay? Thank you for attending another book club meeting, and thank you for supporting this very, very first day of release. If you don't know, there are 3 episodes out on the day that this one releases, and then you'll get an episode every Wednesday to follow. All right, well, thank you as always for coming to book club, spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.